Determine the average rate of change of the function f of x is equal to negative 3x plus 1 over the range from x is equal to 1 to x is equal to 5. Is it A, negative 4, B, negative 3, C, 3, or D, 4? The answer is B, negative 3. What makes the following equation true? Negative 3 times x is lesser than x plus 8. The answer is B, when x is greater than negative 2, but less than 0. A building has a number of floors of equal height, as well as a 30-foot spire above them all. If the height of each floor in feet is h, and there are n floors in the building, which of the following represents the building's total height in feet? Is it A, n plus h plus 30, B, n times h plus 30, C, 30 times n plus h, or D, 30 times h plus n? The answer is B, n times h plus 30. Of the four functions listed here, which will increase in value the most between x is equal to 10 and x is equal to 20? Is it A, f of x is equal to 2 to the x power, B, g of x, which is equal to x squared, C, h of x, which is equal to 3x, or D, j of x, which is equal to the natural log of x? The answer is A, f of x, which is 2 to the x power. Use the following passage to answer the next two questions. A new study by sociologists at Duke University and the University of Arizona adds more grist to this mill, noting that Americans in 2004 had smaller networks of people with whom they talk about matters important to them than they did in 1985. Noting that Americans in 2004 had smaller networks of people with whom they talk about matters important to them than they did in 1985. Changes in core discussion networks over 2 decades. American Sociological Review, June 2006. In 1985, Americans had 3 confidants. In 2004, we averaged 2. The number of Americans who had no one with whom to talk about important matters almost doubled in 2004 to over 25%. Increasingly, most confidants are family. In 2004, 80% of people talked only to family about important matters, and about 9% of people depended totally on their spouse. This decrease in confidants is a result of the same trend that's leaving fewer people knowing their neighbors or participating in social clubs or public affairs than in the past. Phenomena noted in the book Better Together, Restoring the American Community by Robert Putnam and Louis Feldstein. We know a lot of people, but not necessarily very well. Left to our own devices and cultural trends then, we seem to be moving in an unpleasant direction. Communities are formed ad hoc and around specific shared individual interests. This wouldn't be bad, of course, except that those communities seem to exist only within the constraints of their shared interests and don't develop into close and meaningful relationships. The transient and specific nature of many of our relationships today can keep us socially busy without building the lasting relationships and communities that we want. So what do we do about it if we want to change things? Harvard University School of Government put together 150 ways to increase what they call social capital, the value of our social networks. Among their suggestions are: support local merchants, audition for community theater or volunteer to usher, participate in political campaigns, start or join a carpool, eat breakfast at a local gathering spot on Saturdays, and stop and make sure the person on the side of the highway is okay. The author argues that transient nature of many of today's relationships is problematic because A, we don't share specific interests, B, we don't know many people, C, it prevents us from building lasting relationships in communities, D, we have too much social capital, or E, We talk to too many people about private matters. The answer is C. It prevents us from building lasting relationships in communities. According to the author, which of the following was true in 2004? Was it A, the average American had 3 confidants and 9% of people depended totally on their spouse for discussion of important matters? B, the average American had 2 confidants and 80% of people discussed important matters with only their spouses? C, the average American had 2 confidants and 9% of people discussed important matters only with family members? D, the average American had 2 confidants and 80% of people discuss important matters only with family members? Or E, the average American had 3 confidants and 80% of people discussed important matters only with family members? The answer is D. The average American had 2 confidants and 80% of people discuss important matters only with family members. Use the following passage to answer the next 2 questions. Scientists disagree about the benefits of adaptations of many different animals. 2 scientists discuss one adaptation of the fish of the coral reef. Scientist number 1. The brilliant display of colors of the fish of the coral reef, scarlet, rose, and yellow, turquoise, emerald, and dozens of others, serve as camouflage for the fish living in the color complexity of the reef. We are incorrect if we analyze fish coloration by human eye standards. Things look very differently from fish's point of view. Fish cannot discern the yellow-green color family with the particularity that the human eye can. So for example, a yellow trumpetfish nearly matches the green of the average coral reef, and the blue of the blue and yellow angelfish matches the bluish backgrounds a fish sees when looking into the distance in deep water. We need to understand the camouflage effect by how the fish see the world. Scientist number 2. In fish, as with many other animal species, such as peacocks, butterflies, snakes, etc., the brilliant colors of the body are there to be seen and paid attention to. The bright colors might send flaunting messages, come-ons to potential mates, or warnings to possible predators that the fish has distasteful or toxic flesh. It has also been suggested that the bright and varied colors might act as a kind of ecosystem color coding that lets all the fish species that share a reef keep track of who is who. According to scientist number 1, which of the following is true? A, fish don't care about color differences. B, fish aren't threatened by color differences. C, fish perceive color differently than humans. Or D, fish aren't attracted to color differences. The answer is C, fish perceive color differently than humans. Which of the following phrases best describe the major point of difference between the 2 scientists' viewpoints? Is it A, adaptations in many different animals? B, the function of coloration in coral reef fish? C, the fish of the coral reef? Or D, the different colors of coral reef fish? The answer is B, the function of coloration in coral reef fish. Infants and toddlers may sometimes have blank sleep patterns due to growth spurts and rapid changes in their physical development. Is the answer A, cohesive? B, natural? C, erratic? D, fanciful? Or E, mistaken? The answer is C, erratic. Blank mattresses contain many toxic substances, such as flame retardants, adhesives, and chemical foams, which are not present in natural latex rubber. Is the answer A, conventional? B, queen-sized? C, white? D, maximum? Or E, significant? The answer is A, conventional. Because land is limited and the population is constantly growing, real estate blank typically blank over time. Is the answer A, development and falters? B, values and increase? C, brokers and compromise? D, agents and magnify? E, properties and classify? Or E, properties and classify? The answer is B, values and increase. Natural fibers like organic cotton and bamboo are blank and blank without the use of harsh chemicals. Is the answer A, manufactured and deployed, B, woven and filtered, C, commissioned and forgotten, D, pilfered and used, or E, grown and processed? The answer is E, grown and processed.